welcome Anna Nidenström, Senior Specialist at Trafikverket, Specialist in BIM, Swedish Transport Administration. And we're going to be picking up on those discussions that we've been hearing earlier, all about collaboration using the cloud, how to manage all the different applications. So I think Mike from Autodesk is staying with us, and also two of our other guests who we heard from earlier, Kristin and Thomas. Thanks very much for being with us as well. So we'll pick this up. Let's start by talking to Anna. So we've been hearing all day about new technologies, new ways of working, and then also the new rules and the new norms that are coming alongside of that. So how is the Swedish Traffic Administration asking or thinking about data right now when it comes to cloud storage for you?
I think we have a huge focus on this question, and I think that we are working really hard to try and move forward. I think the biggest challenge that we have is that we have to manage both the past and the future, and that puts a lot of stress on the solutions that we solve, that we are looking for, and also data security. We are working a lot with classified data, so we have these all different challenges that we need to challenge and to think forward. So I think it's really difficult to see how we can actually increase collaboration and all those things, and looking on data centers and everything. So it's complicated.
Yeah,
very complicated.
Kristin, how similar is the scenario for you in Norway? Also facing similar challenges as another public service agency?
I think there is a lot of similarity between Trafikverket and Bane NOR. We are also looking at, of course, cloud-based solutions. We have a lot of existing solutions, and we are quite conscious about information flow between the systems. As Mike just showed us some graphs about how many times and how much work we actually you get by moving data from one system to another system and losing data by the end. So standardized information and information flow between systems is one of the main focuses we have now.
And what about between different regions and across borders? Is that also something that needs to happen within the Nordics?
I think it's an opportunity that we have, definitely. So I think if we are able to do that, that will actually help us. And we have products where we discuss this and how we can collaborate, for example, using Building Smart and BSDD and such systems. So it's definitely an opportunity and a huge need that we have, I think.
Mike, how well do you think the collaboration is going so far? You mentioned the huge range of different apps and different possibilities. So we all know the solutions are out there, but what if everyone's just cherry picking different solutions? How streamlined is it going to be?
I guess you raised an interesting point there about collaboration across borders. I think that's one of the main problems. A lot of these projects become more and more international, multinational, and how do you deal with all the different cloud standards? Interesting, I wrote a few down on here. If you want to do business with the US government, you need FedRAMP. Or if you want to do defense, you need ITAR. If you want to talk with the UK defense, like the MOD, you need DART. And then I've heard there's this EU Cloud Foundation thing coming along, Federation thing coming along. So I think there needs to be, as this industry emerges and settles down, we need more consistency around how people, manage the data and the security of the data. Otherwise, we're going to end up with 100 systems that just introduce more friction and stop people taking advantage of this. So I think that's a role for big companies to influence government and and give some guidance to how we can make sure that we can access this technology and not let that get in the way.
Yeah, are you optimistic there could be some kind of global regulation in this area, or do you think it's something that individual nations are going to want to keep control over?
I think at the moment it's interesting, as Autodesk, as we get more and more is all of a sudden, everybody needs their own server, everybody needs their own agreement, and we can see that. I think eventually, I don't think we'll get to a global standard, but if we could at least agree on some standards in certain regions and within certain industries, I think that would certainly help push the adoption and make sure that people don't spend all the time on all that sort of stuff that's not really getting the projects done.
Let's bring in Thomas. What do you think are the main red flags when it comes to sharing data in Europe? What are the big don'ts as we move forward in this area?
Don't share data about anything or anyone else that you wouldn't share about your own business or yourself. So that was the easy answer. The red flags obviously is the protection of data. It was mentioned here that these processes and this whole thing is complicated. We're hearing about 12,000 apps. I'm getting goosebumps when I'm hearing about that, when I'm coming from a cybersecurity perspective. So the red flags are basically this data you are using or contributing to somewhat in your business is belonging to someone, and we have laws and regulations around that. So basically the red flag is protect it as it was your own, even if you store it locally or in the cloud or whatnot. But there are laws and regulations around that. So, and there's a structure, and there are thousands of people that already have done it and are doing it. So even if it's complicated, there are some best practices out there.
Good to hear. And I mean, you're someone that's worked in the cybersecurity industry for a couple of decades now. We're talking so much about what the future's going to look like, how quickly things are changing. But we've gone through change before. What would you say your main learnings are from the past? Or is there anything we can be optimistic about based on how we've pushed through similar eras of change?
The good thing about being older is that you learn to recognize that you just gotta have to embrace change. It's gonna come whether you like it or not. And when it comes to technology especially, let me use an example, spinning around the phenomenon that someone will always try to make something good, like you create software that you would like to help the construction business to thrive, right? But at the same time, whatever is made, someone will have some back thoughts or could make something evil out of it. Let's do an example. For 30 years back, there was a software designed for support engineers to install that on your computers so they remotely could fix your problems on your computer. Guess what? Hackers love that because they remotely could take over your computers. So spin that fast forward to today, and hearing about ChatGPT has been mentioned here quite a few times already this day. You can see that, how about that? That's something great. And you said you cannot yet create a business plan in your keynote. Guess what? You can, but ChatGPT can do everything, but it's been so heavily restricted because it's becoming kind of dangerous. And from my cybersecurity experience, the early days of ChatGPT, a hacker could go in there and he can thrive from basically asking with his code. He didn't even have to have a code. He can just ask ChatGPT, hey, what are the latest vulnerabilities in Autodesk's software? Well, these are the ones. All right. Could you write me a program that could bypass the systems? Yes, sure I can. Here you go.
Do I get the right one to stop it?
No. So here's the thing. Here's why cybersecurity community comes in, right? People and forces and communities and nations are seeing that this is kind of way too powerful. So ChatGPT, as we consumers see it today, is actually heavily restricted, which is kind of fascinating and terrifying at the same time. So whatever is meant to be created as doing good or help you or automate things or make things more efficient, it could be used by someone to do something you don't want. So that is the key takeaway when it comes to technology, right? But embrace the changes because they're here. The more we can automate, the more we can use ChatGPT. I actually created a marketing plan with ChatGPT quite recently, but I had to rewrite it a little bit, but I needed the structure because my education goes back 30 years ago, so I didn't want to pull out those books. So I just needed the structure, and then I filled out the blanks. So I think it actually could be a very valuable tool as well to do that quick work, that fundamental work, and same with automation. So change is here to stay, technology is here to stay, embrace it and make the best out of it, and as human beings and resources, we just need to excel. And trust the cybersecurity solutions will help you.
Yeah, well, I'm really curious to hear what our two representatives from the state are making of that. Is the government and state authorities, are you using ChatGPT? How do you see it playing a role in your work in the future? Let's start with you, Anna.
I think for ChatGPT, we haven't really seen it yet, but for artificial intelligence, we were discussing that as well. I think there we have a lot of interesting projects going on. We have use cases where we are using AI for inspections for bridges, for example, and also for checking for cracks in switches for railway, and to make sure that we can increase the frequency of the inspections and also the quality of the data that we receive. So we are able to cover more structures than we can with just manual inspection. So that is a huge area. And also other development projects that we see for AI, but not ChatGPT yet.
Are you scared of it?
No, I don't think so. We just have to find how we manage it and how we use it, I think. So I think there's a lot of potential, but you need to see the right purpose and the right usage for it.
Kristin, your reflections from Norway on AI and ChatGPT?
Well, it's similar to what the Trafikverk has been doing as well. We use a lot of AI already. We have a lot of sensor technology for switches and bridges and things like that. And we are looking into how to automate it, for instance, all deliveries and so on. So I think it's moving in that direction. We haven't talked specifically about ChatGPT yet, but I'm sure it will come up at some point.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all develops. We need to move on because we have an exciting programme of evening activities that I'm sure everyone's keen to get to. But thanks very much to our final panellists of the day. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Thank you.